Hello, welcome to another edition of Sun Dragon Tips and Tricks. Rebecca at home. We're doing yet again. I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in Brevard, North Carolina, and I'm coming to you from my house on Monday. And my new kitty is, I think, trying to get to some cobwebs in the corner. Spoiler alert, I don't clean my house very well. You can see junk behind me. And she went, she's about to pull a bunch of things down. Come on, there you go. Okay, she's decided it's unsteady. She's not going to do it. Okay, so I have tried to sleep in, and I have my cup of coffee here, and something's tickling my nose, so I'm probably about to sneeze. Allergies. I have the window cracked to get some fresh air in, but that means allergies, you know? So my sister got me this mug. Isn't it cute? A couple Christmases ago. And I'm always like, what? Where did she get it? Some kind of like unchained gifts or unsomething gifts, or I don't know. But you can pick the hobby and the person and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Since I didn't get it, I can't tell you where to get it, but it's kind of fun. I always have this, like, I like to put coffee in the morning with my morning meditation on Instagram. And I struggle using this mug if I'm about to do crochet for morning meditation, because this little person is knitting, you know, so, yes, and don't want to be like, that's not the right craft. Anyway, the struggle is real, you know. So I wanted to update you on a lot of the things that I'm doing. The Coach and Connect for the My First Sweater Make-Along has started, and we did our first session on Saturday night. You can still join in for that if you'd like to. It's still $40. There's only 3 sessions left. You can still join in. Another thing that comes with that is, like, the price doesn't change, but I told the people we started last night, since these aren't formal classes, and they're just kind of a 1 hour every 2 weeks to come together, connect, ask questions. There could be questions in between. And that's when I can attempt to answer some questions via email, things like that. So, we'll see. I can't give the same level of help by people stopping by, but I do what I can. So, I think I already showed you my finished flax, correct? The one, see, I think I need some more coffee. Hello. I think I showed you my finished flax. The flax is the sweater that we are focusing on for the My First Sweater Make-Along. I made one in worsted. There's a worsted, DK, and sock or fingering weight versions available from Tin Can Knits for free. I finished my worsted weight one with Encore, which is a very cost-effective yarn. And I've started one with a DK weight using the DK pattern. And the yarn I'm using, so many things are messed up in my bag in front of me here. I have 2 bags, many more than 2 projects on the table, or in the bags. I'm using Queensland Fiji, and that Fiji is a single ply. So if you look at this, it's got a twist to it, but there aren't multiple plies twisted together. It is a merino wool. It is machine washable, so it doesn't say super wash, but it has, it should be a bit, it should be okay to throw this in the washing machine if you have to. Maybe on delicate, maybe in a washing bag. I would not put it in the dryer, though. It does not say machine dryable. That's when you can still have wet agitation happening, that it may not agitate in the washer so much, but it could agitate in the dryer, and it could still felt. So there's just so many colors in this. And all the Fiji colors are named after places, mostly on the East Coast. There's a new color called Maui, which I don't think we're getting in. That's obviously not East Coast, it's Hawaii. But this is Bald Head Island. We have colors like Provincetown and Cape May, and one of the new colors is Nantucket. I was looking at them all. We can't always bring all the new colors in, but I was shopping last week. Ooh. So this is Bald Head Island, and it's one of the colors that we have, two colors that have some pinks in them. This one has less pink than the other one that weren't selling as well as some of our other colors. And so I picked a color that I wasn't really sure what was going to happen with it, rather than one that I absolutely love, because the ones that I love are going to sell themselves. So I started a new flax with this one to show how, not so much stripy, but just super variegated, how that will come out. And I mean, this has a lot more red and green than I thought. I mean, looking at this, you can see there's red and green, but they're not the ones that hit the most when you look at the ball, which is why I wish I could knit with every single colorway and every single yarn in my shop to give you an idea. But even the swatches that the companies give us don't necessarily give a true indication. They might give you a hint of some colors. We've had swatches, or we have these little tassels on our color cards, and one of the yarns we were looking at, the tassel, had a few pretty colors, but then the sample they had knit up had colors that didn't make it into the little tassel because there were so many colors, you know, and it's just sometimes hard to see and visualize what it's going to look like knit up. And I get that, but we do not have the resources or time at the shop to knit everything up for all the colors. So sometimes you just have to guess, and you're pleasantly surprised, or maybe disappointed, but hopefully pleasantly surprised. So I'm keeping, there's some changes I've made with this one versus the other one. The first one was, I picked a different weight. I'm following the pattern for the DK, which is a lighter weight, a little bit more breathable sweater, perhaps, a little more interseasonal. I am keeping the garter panel that's going to go down the shoulders and the sleeves, just because that's part of what makes it recognizable as a flax. And that's because it'll be a sample for the shop. I tell people who are making it for the first time, you don't have to do this panel, or if you don't like the way this looks, you can skip it when it tells you to set it up by purling the next blah, blah, blah stitches. Just knit, just knit. When they talk about the garter panel, that's absolutely fine. But I'm keeping that just so people can go, oh yeah, that's flax. Haha. Those of you making your first sweater who say, oh, go incognito, and they won't know it's a flax, not that it matters. And you can just have a beautiful raglan seam, which are these diagonals. The shaping for where the shoulders pop out in the front and the back are all on these diagonal lines, which I think look really cool when you have a stripy yarn or when you're putting stripes in. I will show you that sweater in a minute. I am going to do the short rows in this one, which I didn't do in the other. My first one was super basic, thickest yarn for the pattern possible, not expensive yarn, no short rows, and a neck that's, the collar starts right away to show people what it looks like if you do the simplest version of it. What could be even simpler is taking out the garter panel. This one, I'm going to do the short rows to show how it might sit differently, even though it's a different weight. It's going to look a little different. The other thing I'm doing, I'm going to have a tighter collar in theory, because I didn't start with the collar. I'm going to add that back in later. And I've tried to bring some barber cords over here so that I can put this on the barber cords and stick it over my head and kind of show, this is a sleeve one, hopefully show how it looks before you put the collar on. So it's curling, it looks funny, it probably looks really wide. And I want to show you that, so if you decide to make a sweater that's constructed this way with the collar added later, you will know or see with this that it Words. I had migraines last week because it was that time of the month, and I'm better now, but vocabulary is still coming back. But you can see how even if it looks really big and open, it doesn't mean you have to give up on the sweater. You don't have to wait until the end to put the collar on. You can take another ball of yarn and put the collar on right away, like when you get this far away from the opening. But I'm trying to be faithful to following the instructions the way they're written. You can do your sleeves like whenever you want past sleeve separation. You can put a collar that's supposed to go on last on whenever you want, when you have enough fabric here to do that. So I am attempting, I don't know if I'm sliding. So these barber cords I've showed off before, but if you're new to my channel, they're called barber cords because the knitting barber is the one who popularized them. And she is a knitter who's also a barber, so knitting barber. So they have been nicknamed barber cords, but they're silicone tubes that I'll try to get all the way to the end since I did some of this off camera, that you can stick on the tip of your needle. And then you can slide all your stitches. I've already gone through all of my stitches while talking to you, and I have a lot of stitches on here, but then I can pop it off with my thumb. You can slide all your stitches onto a stitch holder really easily instead of having to slide 2 by 2 by or 1 by 1 by 1, which can take forever. And I want to try a few things on for you, so I'm probably going to be sliding things on and off these barber cords, so hang with me on this. This is great. The barber cords come in a 3-pack of 2 30-inch cords, which is great for holding sleeves and a top-down sweater, and 1 60-inch cord, which is great for trying on. I will say, especially for bigger sizes, like right now, this is working great. I have all of my stitches on this, but sometime before sleeve separation, and by sleeve separation, I mean where you break off the sleeves from the main body. Right now, this is still all the main body. It's what's called the yoke. There will be a point where it probably won't fit on the 60-inch to try it on over your shoulders, because that can get really wide. I'm not at that point yet. So, and I also find when you put it on barber cords, if it's spread out in the barber cords, it will look funny, and try not to let that dissuade you from something fitting. The stitches actually need to be pretty tight on the barber cord, not jammed on like on the needle, but fairly snug for this to work. And that little, where I started, goes into my right shoulder, and it's, when patterns say right and left, it's right as worn, not as looking at it. So I'm going to stick it over my head like this so you all can see how this is knitting up. But see how wide that collar is? I'm going to add in ribbing, which is going to pull this, like, first of all, pull this roll up. The rolling is because it's stockinette there. There's no ribbing to keep it flat. Stockinette wants to roll. See how where the garter panels are, it's not rolling as much? That is because it's garter there. Garter, ribbing, seed stitch, those kind of things will keep stuff from rolling. And so it's rolling at the bottom too. But you can see how this is starting to fit, which is lovely. And when I pick, gotta back up a little bit. So if you start right away with your ribbing, it won't roll, but it might be looser because it's ribbing just straight connected to stockinette. And that's all a little stretchy. But if you cast on, instead of casting on your collar, if you cast on and start your sweater and then go back and pick up stitches, there's going to be a little bit of stiffness here before the ribbing is put on, which is going to help the ribbing not stretch as much. And so this should be a tighter collar than if I had just started with the ribbing, even on smaller needles. So this is how my multicolor flax is coming out, and this is how the Bald Head Island version of Fiji is knitting up. And I think that's great. You can tell I have quite a bit to go before I'm at sleeve separation, It needs to be like way down here. So I have a lot to go. I just have to keep going with my raglan increases, which make this nice little diagonal line in 4 places. So that is my newest flax. And now I'm going to stick it back on my needles and show you another one. So, but the flax make along, I'm hoping to have this that I just showed you at sleeve separation point. I'm hoping in just under 2 weeks to have enough knit on this. So when the next Coach and Connect meets, I can show people how it looks, and I can demonstrate what sleeve separation is like, which I was drawing pictures for people and everything. But while we're hanging out for that hour answering questions, I can say, okay, now I'm taking stitches onto a holder like this, and then I'm going to add on, I call it building a bridge between the front and the back with adding on underarm stitches, that kind of thing, so that people can ask questions as I do it. That's what I find is really the cool thing about Coach and Connect, is you can ask questions in real time. People might watch this video and ask questions, and I will do my best to answer them in writing or next week. But I can't promise. See, I've already, here, let me do this part again so you can see it. It's not the same as talking to someone in person. So I stuck the barber cord on my needle. It's on pretty firmly. If I really yank, it's still going to come off. So I tell people, when you're using barber cords, you put the tip on and the tip of your needle and you really jam it in. And then anytime something is crossing, so I'm going to start sliding my stitches back on, but I'm not going to yank really hard here because it's going to pull, the barber cord and the needle apart. So I'm going to, as I move things down, I might hang on to the connection there. They're not completely foolproof, but they are pretty awesome. I also tell people, if it ever does come apart, no matter which direction you were going, if you were trying to get things off the needle, I put the needle back through the stitches that have fallen off of everything, because the needle is a more rigid structure. So it can pick up those stitches before they go crazy. Whereas trying to put the barber cord through by itself, not attached to a needle, can sometimes feel a little wonky. So it's going to take like a minute, but it's not going to take as long as if I was putting all these stitches one at a time. See, I'm holding the connection every time I get to a point where I'm like, ooh. I'm holding the connection so it doesn't come apart. And I try not to yank too much on the barber cord as I'm sliding stitches down the barber cord. I don't want to pull too hard. Like, as soon as there's resistance, I stop, because that means it's jamming up on the connection. So I'm going to do this again with the next sweater. So I think I'm going to move in some ways from what is least finished to most finished. We'll see. We'll test that theory. Okay, I just got it off. So this is all back on my needles now. And this one can be put to the side. Just because it's right in front of me. First of all, I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. But this is the Luminous Summer, which is by Minimi Knit Designs. And I already have a version of this. But I wanted another one because the version I have, everyone says, it's lovely, but then they want to make it and the yarn's no longer available, especially in sweater quantities. We have a couple of skeins of Barocco Vivo left at my shop, but not much. It's been discontinued for a few years, so we have stragglers, basically. So I'm doing the same thing with this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put the whole thing on the barber cords. I might leave it connected to my needle to try this on. This is Noro Natsumeki, which is a mostly 60% cotton, and then there's some silk and some polyamide in the remaining 40%. It's got really cool color changes. Noro will be stripy kind of no matter what, and it won't be fadey stripy. It'll just be stripy. And depending on how big it is, the stripes will change as the circumference of my sweater shifts. So this one has all over increases. So every few inches, I am evenly spacing my increases out instead of having them on those rigid diagonal lines. I really love the raglan look. It's kind of like a baseball shirt or something, you know? But okay, I think I'm going to try this without taking it totally off the needles. I love that look. There's something to be said for all over increases too. They fit differently. I couldn't tell you exactly which one's better for what body type. I have people who ask me that, and I'm just not sure. Maybe someone else has done the work on that. So this is going to have short rows after sleeve separation. I was reading. The flax is going to have short rows right before sleeve separation. Short rows just add material to the back so that the neck sits in a different angle, and like I always tell people, have you ever put a t-shirt on backwards? Like if I put this shirt on backwards, the top part would be like, you know, it feels different. But if the neck is wide enough, it doesn't matter. But some people would still like that anyway. Okay, I'm gonna put the part that's still on the needles in the front. So I think I have finished according to the instructions. And if it feels like, some people when they try it on, they're like, that looks weird, it's sticking off funny. That's the barber cords. If we give it a little tug, we can see a little better how it's gonna lie. This is meant to have an open neck that might curl a little bit. It has no ribbing up here. There's gonna be no pickup on it later. It's designed to just look like that. I think I just finished the last set of increases before sleeve separation. And if you can see, it fits pretty well. Like I don't think it needs more. We'll find out when I get there, right? But I think so. Beginning of round right there. This pattern has some cute little eyelets. Can you see them up there? That if you were just around the collar, and just like with my other sweater, if you were doing this in a plain color, they might pop a little more. The increases are right lifted increases, which almost end up looking like little eyelets too. But, excuse me, my coffee's making me burp a little. But they're spread all over. And this busy yarn, which is kind of dark and broody, the other colors of it are not as dark and broody, which is why I wanted to make it in this, because I wanted to have something different to show people. That's gonna kind of mask where the increases are happening. But see, there's no diagonal in this. There's no line here and here, because this was increased by evenly distributing those increases at regular intervals, rather than always on the same line like every other row. This was knit an inch, do some more, knit an inch, do some more, that kind of thing. I'm at the point right now on this where I just need to knit to a certain depth, and then I'm going to separate my sleeves. I probably have like a good 3 inches or 4 inches to go though, because you can see if I separated sleeves here, if I did a pull down right there, it'd be tight. So Luminous Summer by Minimi Knit Designs. It's a really lovely flowy top, especially if you get the gauge she wants and you're using a cotton or a blend like that. This, like I said, this is mostly cotton and then some silk and polyamide, or just something artificial, but kind of helps to give it some structure, because this is somewhat of a single ply as well. So a lot of Noro is. I just thought of one that isn't as well as far along as these, in terms of it's not really gonna go big, like most progress or least progress to most progress words, you know. I think last week I was saying I have like 6 or 7 tops. I think fuzzies from the yarn. I think now that this one the flax has been started, it's probably at 7 right now. I'm just gonna go to I'm gonna skip around now. There's no like, look, this one's just further than that. This one's just further than that. I really want to show you guys the key sweater. talking while I pull this so the barber cord is free. I could have multiple barber cords in here. I just hunted around my house and found all my barber cords. I have about 10 packs. Only a couple are completely, all 3 pieces are still there. Some of them it's because they're in sweaters, and some of them it's because I have just lost parts of them. Keeping things organized, not necessarily my forte, but somehow the shop is still running almost 8 years later. So, okay. So this is now back on these needles. And the key sweater, which is not a summer sweater. All these other ones, well, the flax isn't really either. So, you know, whatever. The key sweater is the one I started with my Patagonia, with 5 colors of Patagonia that I was trying to decide on a 2-color colorwork sweater. And I brought in these 5 colors, and both Liz and Hannah said, those are pretty together as a palette. And I was like, what? And so then I had to find a pattern I could use all 5 on. And the key sweater is designed for only 2 colors. It has stripes that look like they lock together like puzzle pieces. And I just thought that was the cutest thing ever. And even though it was designed for 2 colors, I said, you know what, I'm just, every time there's a color change, because it's designed to have a main color and a stripe color. And the stripe color is just a little thinner than the stripes with the main color. And I said, every time I have a color change, I'm going to change colors and go through this 5-color cycle. So each color will have a chance to be the main color and the stripe color, and it's going to be interesting. And I kind of love it so much now that I am past, I was really stalled out on, it's got like a, somewhere between a mock and a full turtleneck collar. And I got so stalled out on 4 inches of ribbing that I didn't get very far. And then once I got past that, oh, it's been so much fun to knit. Oh my gosh. Like, look at this. I am just to the second occurrence of like the second repeat. I'm hitting the last color for the second time. It's been so much fun. It's actually been hard to knit my summer sweaters because I'm having so much fun with this. But what I'm going to do now is show you how it's fitting. So I'm past sleeve separation. Actually, if anything, I'm a good 5 to 6 inches past sleeve separation. And so it is just, I think because where the colors change, where the stripes change, there's 2 rows of color work to give you that puzzle piece effect. And I think just wanting to get to the next color change and do those 2 rows of color work is just keeping me so excited and motivated that this is just, I am tearing through this. Now, yesterday I got motivated to completely rearrange my living room. So I only I didn't do a whole lot of knitting yesterday. In fact, I think I worked on this one to get it to the last increase because I was so close. So I haven't made a lot of progress this weekend. I go back to work tomorrow. We'll see what happens with the rest of today. But I could decide to spend it on this. And we'll see, because it's been so much fun. And I still have tons of yarn left. I had 5 skeins to begin with, which is a decent amount of yarn. 5 skeins of Patagonia, which has 382 yards on it. It's a light DK. And to get gauge, I had to go to a size 8 needle, and it is so soft on this size 8 needle. I would not have thought it, because the other thing I did with the Patagonia for the shop, I've done a couple things. I did the Jupiter Crop by Caitlin Hunter, and that was more written for sport weight, so it didn't let the yarn fluff. It was color work. It was decently soft, but not this soft. And then I used it as my main color in my Koivua sweater, also by Caitlin Hunter, which is a worsted weight pattern. And you'd think it would be even as soft. It has texture in it. And when you throw pearls and knits in, sometimes that bumpy texture can deceive someone to how soft the yarn is. Like, it's not the greatest sample in the shop for people to feel, to understand that Patagonia can actually be really soft. So just before I try it on to show you, The short rows in this one were right at the beginning. So if you see how close that pink is to the collar in the front, and then in the back, it is much further away because I did short rows while doing raglan increases. That's always fun. So the collar is not my favorite part of the sweater. By the way, this is by PetiteKnit. Key sweater, PetiteKnit. Might have mentioned that, but just in case I didn't. The collar on this is kind of high and tight, and so you wouldn't have to knit 4 inches of it if you don't like the look. But I tend to really follow patterns so people can see how they're gonna turn out. Poof. My hair is already a hot mess, and it's just gonna become more of a hot mess as we go here. And thank you for people who said they like my haircut. I do too. I feel like it's already getting shaggy, so I might have to go back and get it trimmed up again. But this is, actually, no, that's good. That's okay. But I mean, if you don't like things around your neck, this might feel a little much. There's enough here that I could fold it down if I wanted to, and that gives it more of a normal folded ribbed collar look. But this is what it looks like up, if you want to wear it up. And the fit of this is fantastic. So let me get up and show you. The fit of this is absolutely fantastic. It's that I'm making probably the 50-inch size, and I want to say my girls, I haven't measured them recently. I'm going off of an assumption they're about 47 inches. And can you see we've got this beautiful raglan seam here. So it looks like the stripes just kind of hit this and go boop. And I love that. It's one of the things I really love about this type of sweater. Now, this could probably look just as beautiful if it was all over increases and didn't have that hard line, but I really like this. So as you can tell, this one has the most progress because it has just been so much fun. I still have a ways to go. I would like it to be down here. I still have like another series of stripes probably to go, but the colors are really fun. They're really fun, and I wouldn't necessarily have thought of putting these together until I got the encouragement by both of my employees and friends. So that's how this one's going. As I get this back on the needles, so I can show you the next one coming up is my Ranunculus that I'm knitting with another Noro. For some reason, I am obsessed with Noro right now. It's Noro Sonata Shima. So Sonata is a cotton and silk blend. And a lot of people, I'm getting fuzzies everywhere. A lot of people are not the biggest fans of Noro sometimes. I mean, Noro's colors are gorgeous no matter what. But sometimes they're not the biggest fans because they feel like it's kind of scratchy because their wool is wool. And they call it, their tagline on it is that it's under-processed. And I don't think it's that bad, actually. But if someone is looking for merino type softness, they're not going to find it with Noro wool blends. And I think the idea of something being scratchy is completely relative. Like for some people, they will find something, like they will find this scratchy. And I think it is lovely and soft. But they will feel it and go, there's the littlest bit of fuzziness to it, so I don't like it. Because that to them is scratchy. And so it's hard to say yes or no. Because I don't want to mislead someone and say, I will say, I don't find it scratchy. But I don't want to mislead someone and have them say, you lied to me. This is scratchy. So, some people are more sensitive to wool or have full-blown allergies to wool, and they're gonna answer that question very differently. I'm almost done sliding this back on the barber cord, so I can show you. So the Sonata is a cotton and silk. I love when we can bring in things from Noro that most people, if not all of people, would agree is not scratchy because their colors are really gorgeous. Sonata is a cotton and silk blend and got my barber cord free. I'm ready. And the Sonata by itself is just tonal. And that's something I I'm not going to put on barber cords to try on is the other, I'm making one with a tonal. Let's see if I can get it out of here. So for anyone waiting for the ranunculus, I'm sorry, you'll have to wait a couple more minutes, but it won't be bad. This is the Sonata. Like, of course, when I handball, it wants to come off. This is the Sonata, like straight up Sonata. It is a tonal, basically a solid color, but there's tones of those colors. It's not solid, like flat solid. And I'm doing the Koivua sweater out of it. And let's see, which side is the right side? I think this is the right side. There's so little lace work right now, I can't tell which side is the right side yet. But if you take a look at that, we're starting our leaves. And if you can see, there's lighter and darker pinks in there. They're all very soft, light pinks, but some of it's even a little lighter. So that is how, I really don't have enough to try to put this over my head and show you. I do, but I don't, because, you know, there's only so much time that we're going to have here. And this is trying to flip. Okay. So I have, with the other color blue of this that I was using, I didn't even get past the ribbing, because everything was in ribbing at that point, and it was really annoying me. But since I've switched to this soft pink, which high school me would be mortified that I'm into pink now, but I am. I think there's so many different colors of pink. The next thing I'm making is going to be the Harvester, the next make-along coming up in August and September. I'm going to be using a fuchsia pink for, just because it's fun. So this is how Sonata, but like the straight up Sonata knits up and looks. It's basically one color, but there might be some tones in there. So it's got some color definition, but very subtle. And then I'm making my latest ranunculus, because I have to make another ranunculus, out of the Sonata Shima. So this is what the Sonata looks like in the twist. And the pink one, it was just all kind of pink with like slight subtle softnesses of color in it. The Sonata Shima is the one that is multicolor. And even though it looks like this, and you're like, well, I don't know how that would knit up. You want to bank on Noro is going to stripe. If it has more than one color in it, it's going to stripe. And that can either be a yummy thing or a not yummy thing for you, depending on who you are. And let's see. So my sweater is slightly caught up in my socks and my other things. I'm looking for the ball. Okay. The ball's getting small, so it's hard to really show you. Like when I first wound this, it was like, okay, we have this and then we have this, and this shows you a little bit of it, but there's some bright green in there that it's really hard to see in both of these. But when you wind it, whether you handball or cake it, you can get a sense of, okay, there's chunks of color. Chunks of color usually mean stripes. Lots of busy color. Sometimes you can say this is going to be variegated. That's what I call something that is more like this. I would call this variegated. There's pieces of color. There's the suggestion of stripes, but not formally. Noro is probably going to have stripes because there's chunkier bits of color. And this is how my ranunculus is coming out. It is definitely striping. And I'm going to put this on the barber cords too to show you how it's going. I kind of like a lot of my ranunculus sweaters stripe, so I feel like I probably need to make a solid one next just to make a solid one, or tonal or something like that. I really do love making the ranunculus sweater. The videos I made for y'all that a lot of you have used, which is awesome to hear. I was doing a worsted weight. I was doing a cumulus sweater, which is almost a bulky weight. So it's a pretty structured sweater when I was done with it. I really do love making the ranunculus out of something thinner. They recommend lace weight to worsted weight. I have done a lace weight just to say I did. And that one is delicate and it's like gossamer and it's wonderful. It catches on everything and I have to fix poles all the time. So I don't tend to wear it as much. And I did long sleeves on that. but something like this is a sport weight, something fingering or sport weight. It hangs lovely. It's got drape and the whole thing, I've mentioned this in many videos. The idea is to pick a really oversize, and people are reluctant to do oversize, but especially if you're bigger like me. So, or bigger than me, you know, like I'm in the middle somewhere, but I have a decent size, girls, my chest is decent sized. So, sometimes things can look bigger. I wore a really nice flowy blouse to work on Saturday and it looked lovely, but I was a little self-conscious because it went over the girls and hung down straight or floofed out. And that can be, I totally get that can feel awkward. So I don't think I'm going to put this totally onto the barber cord because I'm in raglan. There's raglan in the ranunculus. It's a combination of oliver increases and then raglan increases after the pretty stuff. I bet it's too big for just being on the 60-inch barber cord. But the style is the Mori girl style out of Japan, and the pattern writer is Japanese. And I'm going to keep talking about this while I untangle my yarn because it's going around my ranunculus a little, which is going to affect me putting it on. It's meant to be oversized, but still feminine, because if it's loose enough, if it drapes enough, which is what happens when you have either gauge or use your 10s, and even if you're not getting gauge, you're using 6mm needles on a yarn that is not designed for 6mm needles. It's designed for something smaller. So then you have really open stitches, and then it flows. It can hug in ways that are flattering rather than being revealing. It's just, I know a lot of people who've had a lot of success with this sweater. So, okay, now my yarn's on the floor and I'm just going to say whatever, because my sweater's not on the floor. This had short rows in both the back and the front, but more in the back than in the front. So I can look at it and go that, and that's where my end is. That's the back. So let's see how this is going. And see, that is going just wonderfully. And the curling, any curling down here is because it's on the barber cords. This is about the same place that my Luminous Summer is. I still have several more rows of raglan. Like, if I tend to add letters into the word raglan, like a D on the end, but there's no D there. Where's the, oh, it's way over here. Okay, I'm gonna shift this a little. I was like, where's the little, I can show you on this side. So you might see after all the fancy lace work, then we just have increases that happen in 4 spots. So this is getting close, and this is how the stripes look. One of the things I love about the ranunculus, and see how this is kind of, it's got a lot of drape to it. It's not stiff. And so if it keeps the same form down below, it's not necessarily gonna stay rigid over the girls and down. It's gonna have some shape to it, which is really gonna be nice. And I find every time you do it, no matter what yarn you do it with, like the color will look like it's stripes on purpose in different spots if it's stripy, if you don't want it to be stripy. I think the next one I think the Sonata by itself, the solid color Sonata, would be beautiful in a ranunculus. I just decided I went with this, and I had an extra skein that my rep had given me, and I was like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. So I did it. Maybe the next week I'll have it past sleeve separation. I have no idea how this is all going to go. I really don't know. So I don't think I've done much more on to give crochet a little bit. You know, technically we're out of the granny hexagon make along and into this. And this is the hexagon that's not granny that I'm making, but I don't know if I've done much more than when I showed it off on camera to y'all. I am loving it, and it's going to be a really cute cardigan. It's getting there, but it is not wide enough yet. It's starting to look like a cardigan, and this is yummy, yummy sparkly yarn. Oh, I didn't bring it in here. The stripy sweater that I'm making with changing colors every row. I can go grab it for you. You're gonna have some dead air again if I do this. I know exactly where it is in my redesigned living room. Doesn't need a barber cord for it, but I can't go running with this on. Here's the downside. They discontinued the yarn I'm making it out of. So of course, I feel like it happens all the time because I pick a yarn and start to make a sample and they discontinue the yarn. But the Dingley Dell I'm making is starting to have a lot more structure. So let me go grab that really fast. I looked at it when I was getting ready to come in and film, and I was like, I need to bring that in with me. And then I forgot. So give me a second. Look at the mess behind me. Well, you know, you're probably actually going to have... I'm going to tilt this up a little bit so you don't have to stare at my kitty's litter box. Be right back. See, I told you that would be fast. Okay, so. This is how it's going. It is quite lovely, and it's gonna have such soft drape. If anything, it might be too flimsy, but you know. Here's the shoulder. It has really unique shoulder construction. I forget, there's a name for it, but this is Dingley Dell by Isabell Kraemer. But the shoulder here, it looks more like a pieced sweater, but the shape is coming as I go. Like it's got, if I can hold it wider, it's got a spot for like, it looks like a set-in cap sleeve, which is not a look you're gonna get from a raglan. If I put this, I mean, I have such a hot mess where I'm changing yarns because I haven't untangled that in a while. But I could put it on barber cord so you could see fully, but I'm just gonna show you one shoulder and see. That's more. Once I get past sleeve separation on this, it will also be lovely. But I am building the sleeve, and it is building the V-neck as we go right now. So you can't really see it, but it's gonna it has a line here and a line here, and like it's not gonna have the ruffling that this top does, but it's gonna have a seam, and it's gonna have a seam around where the shoulder is to look like it's been put in place. Wah! When when it's all one piece. So the Dingley Dell has awesome construction. It is written for fingering weight, which can deter a lot of people. But if you look up the type of shoulder construction, I'm sure that Isabell Kraemer, I'm getting fuzzies in me again. That was cat hair. If you look up Isabell Kraemer, you will find that type of shoulder construction in other weight sweaters, I am sure. So I have a lot of other things I'm going to be doing today, but I wanted to share with progress on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 7 sweaters right now. 7 tops. I wouldn't call the summer tops really sweaters. There's some people are really particular about names of things and some people are not. And anything knit being a sweater, I don't know. Like the summer short sleeve ones, the flax you can make with short sleeve or 3/4 sleeve or full sleeve. They have added in instructions, which I think is really wonderful. So it's been great to see everybody, or be seen by everybody, I guess I would say. Sometimes I think about doing these as live events where I could see your comments and your feedback. And you can let me know if you're interested in that. But the issue is my schedule is not always allowing me to do these at a regular time. So maybe I'm always like brainstorming and squirreling, and this is spur of the moment, no show notes. Maybe I could think about doing that once a month. We could do something live. That could be really interesting just to see how that goes. But I can't promise that yet. So I will keep you posted because it could be fun to have immediate feedback if people are able to watch. But I can't do that every week. There's no way I can fit that in like my schedule. I'd have to pick days where I can absolutely fit in my schedule. So I'm still working on the idea of, I want to use Patreon more effectively to help me produce these videos and support the work the shop does, because believe it or not, just selling yarn is not enough to keep all of this going. So I'm thinking about doing something with Patreon where, just like these live events, we could have like a monthly Zoom for Patreon members of a certain level, but I'm still figuring out what that's going to be. Or you can jump in for a fee if you want to do it 1 month, that kind of thing. But I'm still ironing that out. So stay posted on that and let me know if you're interested in that, because that will help me iron it out. Okay, I will talk to y'all later. I have to run off and do a couple more things, and it's kind of lunchtime, so we'll see. But it's good to share with y'all. And like I said, if you're interested in connecting one-on-one at this point, or like in a Zoom setting, right now we have Sit and Stitch, which is not instructional, every Tuesday night from 7 to 8 p.m. The shop does on Zoom. You get in, our shop phone number is 828-877-3550. It's U.S. Eastern Time. 7 to 8. I might have said that. Now I'm like, what did I say? Oh no. But that's just hangout time. It is not asking questions about knitting time so much. It's just a way to kind of connect and hang with people at the shop and people around the country, at least, actually. Sometimes we have people from other countries, but it's weird with the time change, right? The way to connect with me in a Zoom format where you can ask questions, it is based on the My First Sweater Make Along, is the Coach and Connect. The next session for that, I think, is June 21st. That you can buy in the online shop for Sundragon for $40. And we will, and there's 3 more sessions of that. And I'll let you know if I'm able to devise some kind of hang out, ask questions, ask about things that are not the My First Sweater Make Along, and yeah, that kind of stuff. I still have to figure out prices on that. Anyway, thank you for listening and watching, and I hope you learned something about some different sweater styles that I'm trying out. One of the things I didn't talk about today is a drop shoulder. It's a boxier look. The make along I'm doing in October, November. The Any Day sweatshirt should have more of a drop shoulder construction to it. So stay tuned, because I like to start my samples early. But stay tuned for when and if I can start my sample on that. And in the meantime, as I always like to say, may your crafting be filled with joy and confidence. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.